Okay, gentlemen, we're back live.
Were there any public comments sent in, Brian?
There were not.
On to the health insurance presentation. Are you there, Jamie?
She said Merry Christmas to Mike's left.
Yeah. Had enough.
Who's that bad? Look, we're only here, we're in here now. Oh, there she is. The girl's gonna be a long time.
We're ready for the health insurance presentation, Jamie.
Okay, Brendan Hurley from IBG was here, but he just sent me an email. Find it here. Brendan said, I appreciate the opportunity to answer questions. However, I must leave the chat room and get on the road from where I am. Please feel free to pass along any questions from the board members. So he had presented his proposal last time, and that is on page 5. So as you can see there, the costs associated that he had presented were a little bit higher than where we are. So did you guys have any questions for Brendan that I could pass on to him?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Jeannie, do you want to go ahead and present?
Happy to. Thank you all for having me. Really appreciate it. I'll do my best. I'm going to go ahead and just click on my buttons here and show this one report. I'll be brief. Again, I appreciate the opportunity. If everybody can let me know they can see my screen.
I can't see it yet, Jeannie.
All righty. Thanks for your patience while I click my buttons. So one of the things that we were able to review with the chief and with Miss Jamie is our plan of attack as far as if you all were to make a selection of Mike Keith Insurance. This is kind of an overview of how we behave on your behalf. Our renewal work plan is something that we're very proud of. We're very proactive about this. And our goal would be to start very early in the game this coming year to make sure that we have in place the proper numbers and the proper benefits for the employees there at Pettis County Ambulance District. This is kind of a quick little overview of how we play it. We start way out ahead of the game. In your case, for instance, because you're a January 1 effective date, we would start about September 1, meeting with your team and trying to figure out what we want to do next. We take a look at what we currently have in place, the benefits, how it's working, the money that you spend and that you have to spend, and we go forward with whatever type of marketing plan of attack you want. We'll help you with the RFP if we need to do a public bid. From there, we'll pull that renewal. I'll request your renewal early from this point forward because I really think that you all will be much happier if we can get all this done for you before November 1st. Our goal is to have something for you all to look at, for the board of directors to look at, approve, and hopefully love, so that we can finish it up and get it ready to present to the employees for their choices. Open enrollment meetings. Our goal is to have those done and ready to turn back into the carrier by November 15th. So that's one of our commitments to you all. You can see there, let's see if I can make my screen move here a little bit. Down at the bottom, these are just a few ongoing services. We like to do analysis and reporting. We like to educate the employees. We're going to produce paperwork, what we call employee communication pieces. We brought those in and showed those to Jamie and the chief. And we're going to, make sure that your employees know what they have and what's available to them. We're going to do educational open enrollment meetings. We'll do new hire meetings. If you all would like for us to come once a month or every other month and do new hire presentation and enrollment at that point, we can do that. We're challenged, all of us, a little bit with the face-to-face, but we got all kinds of ways we can make this work with an online enrollment system and a recording of the online enrollment meeting presentation. We've already talked about wellness. Does anybody have any questions for me about Mike Keith Insurance before I go to the page with all the numbers and the benefit design? I'm happy to answer them. I really appreciate the opportunity to potentially be of service to you all. Kind of last but not least, and this is everything that you have seen. This is our recommendation, the one that's on the far right that says proposed 2 with the HRA strategy. And this is another thing, that type of service that you're going to get from us. We like to think, I'm tired of the term outside of the box, but in this case, it just fits. So we like to think outside of the box to bring you all something that will make things better for your people, but also keep you in a decent budgetary guideline. So this is our proposal. We're going to bring you a higher deductible, the $5,000, which in turn lowers the premium, but then we're going to work that with our HRA program. We're going to reduce that deductible by $2,500 with the PCAD funding so that your employees only see an out-of-pocket maximum on their major medical of $2,500. I believe we've got, if you can see down here at the bottom, we've created a potential 20% liability all the way up to 100%. And all these are numbers, are projections. We know and we understand that, but we've worked this type of program in the public entity arena so many times that we have a pretty good feeling you're going to land somewhere between 20 and 40% the first year. And so however you want to fund it is up to you. I think Jamie has put together numbers that fund it up to 50%. Do I have that right, Jamie?
Yes, Jeannie.
Okay. So this is our strategy. We put something in place that's going to help your employees, that's going to be a potential liability for you, sure, but it's still going to ultimately cost you less than the renewal that you received from your past carrier. The other part of this is our goal is to make this work for you long term. We feel like with this type of a plan of attack, we can just make benefits better and better year after year. I can go back and review this HSA because we want to offer that as well. The dual option is the best thing in the world for a group your size because not everybody uses their plans the same, their benefits the same. But I don't have anything else other than potentially the ancillary, which we are going to recommend that you guys go with MetLife. We're excited about the MetLife possibilities for you because we've got some better numbers and same benefits. But I don't have anything else specific to share that we haven't already talked about. So I'm going to try to make my fingers work this evening. And I'm just going to stop here and see if you all have any questions for me.
Ms. Cunningham, yes, I do. John Meehan. You showed us something there on the screen. What page is that on in your proposal that you submitted?
Well, which one are you referring to? The last one we were looking at?
Your other narrative stuff doesn't amount to much, but what page are you in your original proposal that you submitted to us? What page are you on?
Okay, so this, are you referencing this piece here? Can you see that?
That's the one that, yes.
Okay, so what you need to do, I think, Jamie, you have submitted a corrected copy of that. The one embedded in your proposal, this page right here, I'll be completely transparent, was for another ambulance district. And I'm sorry, but we do use this program in a lot of places. So the one you're seeing now, and I think the one that Jamie sent you for our review tonight, should reflect these numbers.
So I guess I'm trying to read between the lines. Where in the original packet is that information?
The new synergy information, hang on just a second. I can tell you what tab it's going to be in, sir.
Excellent, thank you.
But again, the numbers, it's under the marketing strategy tab, okay, in the original proposal, but the liability numbers that I submitted were not correct, and we caught that and resent that. Your annual cost of the plan is correct. Am I answering your question?
John, you should have a packet of additional papers that you had tonight that started with what Jeannie started with that insurance services overview. And then you have another one that says MKI, Pettis County Ambulance Marketing Results Summary. It's on the 4th page of that. I think it's
on the handout that was available tonight.
Yes,
Okay.
That's right.
But my
yes,
question is that, of course, as you've indicated, we submitted RFPs and we got this packet. So I guess I'm looking for that information in this original packet through the RFP.
So it's going to be under your MKI Marketing Strategy tab. Hang on. It's about the 3rd page back. It details exactly what my strategy is. Again, the only thing I'll share with you is that the liability totals that I submitted are from another ambulance district. So we caught that and immediately resubmitted at least these numbers. It's just a strategy. You can make any change you want to this, or if you wanted to fund a $3,000 on their deductible, that's going to change that liability amount. You wanted to fund only $1,000. That liability amount is interchangeable based on what you as the ambulance district want to fund of that deductible for your employees.
Jeannie, can you explain to the board how that HRA works as far as the funding piece of it?
Sure. So what we propose is, again, you're going to save money by selecting a high deductible. You're going to select that $5,000 deductible. So then what we propose is you select an amount that you want to fund that deductible, and you create a HRA funding liability account. You can choose to put any amount in there that you want. You can see my scenarios on the screen. If you put 20% in, then you're basing your liability account on that your total group, only 20% of your group using $2,500. Okay, they have to meet the first $2,500. So statistics show us that 20% or less annually is what ends up using the other half of that deductible. Are you with me so far? 40%, you would put $38,000 in there. 60%, you'd put $57,000 in there. And what we do is we run this through a company called New Synergy. We've got this in quite a few public entities all over the state, and the system is just really smooth. Your employees, we're going to show them exactly how to make this work. And if and when they ever go over that $2,500 amount, what's going to happen is we're going to work with them to turn their EOB to the New Synergy, and New Synergy is going to direct deposit that money. They're going to sweep your liability account, even if it's only $5. Say, for instance, say go into the hospital and they're, they hit have a bill of $2,500 plus another $5. What's going to happen is they're going to be reimbursed that $5 via this PCAD HRA funding liability account.
Are there any
What
other
happens is, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, your money sits there and it stays in that account unless your employees need that other $2,500. And then the next year, what we've found is we then make the decision. We either replenish it, take it back up to the 50% that Jamie's got on her proposal, or you can increase it. You can also change what you want to give the employee every year, which is what we've done with several of our public entities. We started out by funding 50% of a $5,000 deductible, and we've worked our way down to the employees only having a $1,000 deductible. That would be my goal for y'all's folks there, is to work this so that it gets to the point where your employees don't have a lot of out of pocket and you don't have a lot of expenses either.
Are there any other questions?
It's initially a challenge to kind of wrap your head around. It was for me when I first started working it. But the bottom line to it is I've seen it work. I've seen it in action. I have some really good references that I believe you all have even reached out and checked that are using and working this kind of system. And I just think it's a great future for y'all. You have us to assist and manage the whole thing start to finish to make it work for your people.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Appreciate it.
So what is your recommendation, Jamie?
So on page, it's the right page here. Oh, it is page 6. There is a miscalculation in mine as well that Jeannie caught. And that was replaced by that packet. I gave you all new forms, and unfortunately I didn't put page numbers on them. But it is going to be the 3rd page back. It starts with current enrollment and it's stapled together. I can share it on my screen if that makes it easier for y'all. Basically, it's offering the HRA option with the $5,000 deductible with PCAD covering $2,500, matching basically $2,500 of the deductible after the employee has done their $2,500, and also offering the HSA to keep the two plans comparable as far as deductibles. Instead of the $1,300 we've been putting in the HSA for employees, if they chose that option, it would go down to $300 because it would keep their deductible at $2,500, the same as the PPO plan. Now, the difference in those two is that once that money goes into the HSA, that is in the employee's account, that's their money, whereas the HRA, PCAD owns the HRA, and that's PCAD's money until the employee gets their first $2,500, and then you reimburse after that. So the way that I would propose we do the HSA would be to put in monthly to the HSA participants, and that comes out to $25 a month to get to the $300. And then also when an employee leaves employment for whatever reason, the way the HRA works is that they have a month to get in their expenses after they leave, but only eligible expenses are only up until their last date of employment. So if they left on 3/15, they could only submit EOBs up to $315 for services, but they could be reimbursed till $415 because it takes a while to process those EOBs. So what questions do you guys have? I'm not quite done. I did check with our neighbors, Johnson County Ambulance District. Their EMS chief was one of the references in the proposal. And I did call him. I don't know how many of the board is aware that we were with Mike Keith for benefits about 3 years ago when we weren't very happy. But I talked to Shane about that as well. And he said at that time we were being serviced out of the Clinton office. And Shane indicated the same thing, that he was serviced out of the Clinton office. And since he's been moved to the Warrensburg office, where we'd be serviced out of now with Jeannie and Martha Bennett, that he's been super happy. He had no problem giving his recommendation for Mike Keith or the service they've offered. He said, what she says is what they do. They started scheduling meetings regarding the renewals in August of this year. That enrollment was done by 12/1. They were done. And that year over year for the last 10 years, this has produced savings for them in the benefits area. And that the last 2 or 3 years, their total increase in premium has been 2 to 3%. So that's amazing when it comes to benefits and health insurance increases. And they also have their out of pocket for employees down to $500, he said. And they've done that by increasing deductibles to lower their premiums and then increasing the amount of the HRA. What other questions do you gentlemen have?
Are there any other questions for Jamie? If not, I will take a motion on the recommendation.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, mine's maybe a mechanical thing. Now, we had we did an RFP and we got 3 proposals in, which we opened up at our last meeting. And the BUKATY company, whatever that is, and then IBG Insurance, we know who that is, and then Mike Keith. So the only thing that I'm seeing in our board packet is the IBG option or this option. And when I asked Ms. Cunningham where this information is in the original proposal, I still can't find it in the original proposal. So did we waive some irregularities then, or how did?
So it is in the packet. In their original proposal, it's in there. It does have incorrect numbers. But if you look at IBG's proposal, theirs had incorrect numbers as well.
Okay, so our original RFP probably said something to the effect we can waive any irregularities.
Correct.
Okay.
And then
So
we
that
also
would be an irregularity that we could sure waive. If they made a mistake, we could just change it, as long as the discussion is there. But so this all of this information is in the original packet.
correct. It is.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing that's different is the numbers on that new synergy.
Okay, that sounds great. So then why are we looking at 2 and aren't we looking at this, whatever this is, BUKATY, who submitted a proposal?
Katie's was only the ancillary benefits. It was only dental, vision, life. In the past, we've kept all of our benefits at one place just for ease of administration. And then there was another bidder, I think it was called Legacy, but they did not meet hardly any of the bid specs. The information submitted, there was one copy. It didn't even have their name on it as far as who it was. There was no information about their agency or about the agents or the brokers. There was no information provided with that. So
Good. I mean, the fact that they didn't meet the bid specs, they didn't meet it. I mean, we kind of have to go on. We were just started with 3 and we ended up with 2 and I didn't know why. So-
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have explained that.
Yes, that makes sense.
Is there any further discussion? We've got a motion and a second to approve Jamie's recommendation of Mike Keith. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Can you see this?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Can't see it. We know that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 911, one communications.
You need the PowerPoint?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay.
We're gonna call IT.
I think he's, there's breaks in doing it for him. All right, I know you're listening. Are you doing that? Yeah, do you want it on the main screen?
Yes, please.
Could you do that remotely?
Good evening, I'm Danielle Water, the Director for Pettis County Joint Communications. I've been on the job approximately 6 weeks. Is that it now? So, came into this adventure into a well-established project that has been held up by the board, and they've set everything up amazing to progress through this relatively easy, I would think. To give you an idea of where we're at. As far as the budget timeline, the preliminary presentation to the county commission was conducted on November 12th of this year. And it was accepted preliminary numbers without question. There were no issues in that. From the preliminary presentation, we returned back to the board with the budget to review any additional needs or requests, requirements that would need to be considered for the 2021 budget. And there were a few revisions to that. There was revisions to IT needs in developing additional servers and backup servers that were going to need to operate smoothly, as well as salary revisions for personnel coming into the center. We confirmed the proposed budget on December 16th. The confirmation of that proposal was presented to the Pettis County Auditor on December 18th. The budget was published on December 21st. It is available for public viewing through the county auditor. We are anticipating confirmation and approval on January 4th of 2021. As far as the project timeline, just to give you an idea of where we're at in the center establishment, third quarter of 2020, the critical infrastructure such as the radios and telephone technology that we're going to be dependent upon has begun installation. It has been overseen by the board, and it is on track to be completed without issue. The fourth quarter of 2020, the infrastructure continues, and we are onboarding new personnel. Current staffing needs, the city is slotted for 11 dispatch positions. The county is slotted for 7 dispatch positions. And there's been some shuffle back and forth, personnel moves, And we are onboarding new employees to bring us up to full capacity of 18 operators with 2 supervisors. The first quarter of 2021, we are going to begin training the new hires, and we are going to cross-train existing operators into their respective counterpart positions. The city dispatchers function in one capacity, the county dispatchers operate in a separate capacity, so I conducted a training gap analysis to determine what exactly needs to be done to make them equal in their performance of their duties to the county. And we're going to start that in the first quarter of 2021 and the late quarter of 2021, early second quarter. We have anticipated go live dates approximately April 15th to April 21st, depending upon vendor completion of their projects and the construction timeline of the technology. Any questions so far as how the project is progressing? Regarding the budget, we do not have revenue trends projected as of yet. Traditionally, most revenue trends are going to require at least 5 quarters of raw data to produce that. We do not have 5 quarters of raw data at this point. The fees began collection in October of 2019. We should have a better idea of what the funds are going to trend like within the next quarter. What I have seen so far is that they are inconsistent in reporting, and one quarter will be extremely high, one quarter will be low. There's dips and valleys in that, and part of that is going to be how the individual entities responsible for providing those funds to us are reporting through the Department of Revenue. We have budgeted to receive $400,000 in the any device fee and approximately $40,000 in a statewide prepaid tax. And we have budgeted with $200,000 being provided by Pettis County, $300,000 provided by the City of Sedalia, and $150,000 provided by the Pettis County Ambulance District, providing a total government revenue of $1,090,000 with no interest. We have a balance forward going into this year's budget of $741,984. We've received multiple grants at both state and federal levels. And we have a total revenue of $2,237,142. As far as expenditures, the way that it is budgeted, for full-time salaries, we have no part-time personnel budgeted or allotted at this point. Full-time salaries are going to be equaling $677,142.14. That is composed of the director's salary as well as the 16 operators and 2 supervisors. And that is for 2160 hours of operation to include the 2,080 hours of full-time service and additional consideration for vacation time as well that they will be required to receive compensation for. The total benefit package is $291,221.42, including Social Security, loggers, CERF, and medical insurance through the county at this time. Office supplies, $2,000. We have purchase of new equipment, which includes the IT infrastructure determined by the City of Sedalia IT department, the county IT department, in collaboration with the vendors that will be providing the radio, telephone, CAD, and mapping software applications. That is going to include the monitors, total of 5 screens per station. We have 8 stations, and there'll be 2 touch screens, 3 non-touch screens. It will also include radio, telephone consolettes, as well as the traditional hard drive for the other applications that we'll be using in daily service. The IT infrastructure also includes the software applications that we have contracted with CallWorks, Priority Dispatch, or call handling services, as well as protocol developing for ambulance, fire, and law enforcement call routing. We have $18,000 estimated for travel and training. It's my anticipation that we're going to come in under budget in that line item because a lot of our vendors are providing preliminary entry-level training that will meet a lot of the requirements that we need, and we are working towards getting that outlined when it will be completed. Our contractual agreements for the first year and only the first year total $143,185. That includes the lease agreement with the city of Sedalia for 4,000 square feet in the basement of City Hall. That includes our payment to Woodin Houston and the contraction of our medical director, which we are going with Dr. Gustafson. I'm sorry.
Dr. Johnson.
He has agreed to take on joint communications, which I'm excited about. I believe that will provide an excellent continuity of care to the community because he is serving for joint communications, the ambulance district, as well as Sedalia Fire. We are actually receiving a first-year discount for his services. He will traditionally charge $6,000 per year for a joint communications center, and I was able to get that down to $5,000 for the first year. Our supplies and equipment total $604,571.20, and our total expenditures is cut off. I did not have that number.
$1,978,000.
Thank you, sir. So, as presented to the county commission, we have a balance forward of 2022 of $259,049 that is estimated. Without altering calculations to salary or any of the other items considered in the budget, that provides us a balance forward into 2023 with $131,347. Any questions so far? No? All right. So there is a question over the delay in merger. We were originally slotted to join the public safety answering points January 1st of 2021. And due to personnel concern, the board has agreed to pause the merger at the moment. As it sits today, it's an open-ended pause because we are working on finalizing some concerns that our operators have in their benefits package, as well as what it will look like coming into joint communications. We're trying to determine the most appropriate avenue to take that conversation and to handle the personnel questions and concerns as they arise. So with that in mind, the fact that it is an undated merger at this point, that will affect both our revenue and our expenditures. In revenue, with a 30-day delay, the city of Sedalia would decrease their responsibility to joint communications by decrease it to $275,000. 60 days would be $250,000, and a full quarter will reduce that liability to $225,000. So for Pettis County Ambulance District, a 30-day delay will reduce that responsibility to $137,500, 60, $125,000, and a full quarter will reduce that to $112,500. With the delay and the reduction in revenue, because I am not paying out those salaries. That provides an estimated savings of approximately $56,000 per every 30-day period that we are not merging. That would provide us with a net savings of approximately $26,000 per 30 days, even though we are having an also experiencing a reduction in revenue. I'm not spending what I normally would.
You said that was 56 or 36?
56,
56.
but the reduction in revenue is approximately 30,000, so a net savings of 26,000.
Okay, thank you, I understand.
Sorry, mask.
No.
It's difficult sometimes.
Sometime.
So, we'll be experiencing the reduction in revenue. We also have the reduction in expenditures. And what that looks like, if we go with a full quarter in delay, the balance forward into 2022 will be $321,590. And the balance forward into 2023 will be $193,000. That is estimated at this point because that's very gross numbers in the estimation of the salary, because there's still my salary to be considered in that. I have extended offers of employment to a few operators who are going to be employees of Pettis County Joint Communications, and their salaries will be out of our revenue lines as well. So that's very rough numbers and what we're going to be reducing. Questions?
I think that's important. Are you finished with your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I didn't want to interrupt. You
Go right
showing
ahead.
all those numbers and man. So, I don't think I saw it on the screen up here, but on the handout that we got on page 3.
Okay.
On the top, that very first deal there, it shows City of Sedalia contribution and, but it says delay of revenue. I guess I don't know what the delay in revenue means.
Okay. With the delay in merger.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Because the contracts were written that payments would be made to Pettis County Joint Communications, assuming operation 1-1. Okay. We are not operating 1-1. With the delay in merger and the delay in operations, the responsibility of the City of Sedalia and the responsibility of Pettis County Ambulance District to my entity will also be delayed until that is in place.
So we're currently, Mr. Chairman, are we paying what, $10,000, $12,000 or so monthly for that service?
I believe it's 12.5.
12, okay.
And it's to the city today.
To the city.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking that one. The city of Sedalia, the reason why we're not contributing is that we're still incurring the cost of the
Sure.
and we're still providing that service. So that
And we still want that service, so that's the reason why we're going to continue giving you your $12,500.
and so the city, as she showed, is, I mean, to the joint dispatch, it's making money by delaying it. So, the city wants to get it done as quickly as possible. And that'll be short my presentation of the reason for the delay. But yeah, I calculated a little more than the 56,000 that the city is still outlaying, but then we're not putting in 25,000, but then we would be getting 12. So we're still losing about, I think it's about $15,000.
I would agree with that in that while joint communications is saving money, it's costing the city money.
So the $12,500 that we have been paying
Will continue to be paid to the city of Sedalia
until you get the merger done.
until the merger is complete.
That makes sense. And if that period of time goes 60 days, then instead of the $200,000, I'm sorry, the $150,000 that we were originally contracted to pay, then it's going to be reduced down to 125.
Yes.
And that makes up for 25,000 difference, which is about that amount of money. So it's a wash for the ambulance district. That makes the number sense. And the other piece of that is that I understood that the equipment, that the city's using, will that then also be the same equipment that the central dispatch will use going forward, or?
In theory, the setup is going to be very similar. The operators themselves are not going to see much of a difference in the equipment that they're using because the setup is going to look the same. The insides of it is going to be built out considerably. We've taken a look at some of the equipment that the city has, and if it can be brought over, we want to bring it over, but unfortunately, a lot of it is aged and has been lovingly used heavily. So the numbers that we have presented for IT infrastructure, that's for all brand new equipment. If I can save a little bit and bring in some of the used equipment that we already have between the two agencies, I absolutely will. I've been looking at that to see what we can use, what we can't use, and trying to formulate a game plan of how to save some money there.
Now, the license, there will still be some licensing going to the city for the enterprise, right, or the mobile.
So that your question is bigger than it seems.
I'm sorry. Mine usually are, Chief.
Well, I'll try to give you the most reasonable explanation I can. So for example, the hardware that we use, there are some computers in there that are actually owned by 911 that are a very old version of Windows because that software only works with that because that software is so old. That's the call software. That obviously can't move over because it is an outdated version of Windows. There's some of the keyboards, screens, and things like that we're going to use as backups. Because we always have backups around old screens, old computer keyboards. For if one goes out while somebody's dispatching, it's there to change out. That's a good place for those things to go because many of those things have been in service for many, many years. The actual tables and stuff like that, that equipment, that stuff was used when we got it. We've had it probably about 7 years. So some of that stuff's about 20 years old and it doesn't work anymore. So that stuff is reached its end of life. The software that we use, for example, to help in dispatching for the ambulance district, that will be integrated into the new system. So that what licenses we currently own will be added, more licenses will be added in. The CAD that we currently use for this group is being upgraded and moved into the new system. All those, are in a sense virtual, but they are being brought in. So all those items that we can, realistically, what we're not going to use is the furniture that is aged out, no longer needed, and some screens and computers, things like that. The server that we have, for example, CAD, that's remained the same. That's a city server, and the city has come together with the group to bring that to the use of it. So minus some of those small things, that's really all the only things that we aren't using. Those other parts are being integrated through licensing and things like that into the leases.
Okay. So they still have some licensing that's on the city's contract.
The CAD licensing, yes. Well, the county is paid for licensing for them, and then we can still be an entity using.
Yes. But then we'll still license the mobiles and all of that.
Yes, we have. So you guys use what's called Fire Mobile in the ambulances. You're part of that and you're part of the interface. You would still pay that. That's part of the agreement. But the agreement is that the Joint Communications would send the data, and it was each entity's responsibility to kind of catch that, receive it, and put it on there. So you'll still have some maintenance fees with those. They'll be substantially smaller than what you're paying now as a whole. But we've billed those over the years. You've still been paying those. That's in part of your billing each year, beyond the salary that you must pay. That makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? I included the business card with each of your packets. If you have any questions, anything comes up, please feel free to give me a call if you like.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask one more question? I was under the original impression that your budget, of course, number one, had to be designed by you, approved by your board, the Joint Communication Commission, and then it needed to go to the participating entities for approval. Are we still looking, I mean, you gave us a lot of good numbers here tonight, but, you know, you probably don't have anything set positively yet, simply because it hasn't come together yet. But, I mean, is that still gonna be the process that will?
That's an excellent point. And at the last minute, we're like, oh, we need to do this. That is a unique situation to the year-one budget, because the county is operating on a calendar year, the city is operating on the fiscal year April rotations, and getting everything lined up of when I was hired and getting everything presented that the county requires in the order that they asked me to do that, and getting on the agenda here. This won't be happening again. Okay. In the future, it will be presented through the agencies first, then to the county, and through that.
Okay, so you will require within the agreement that our chair would have to put that on the agenda for us to approve that particular budget.
Right.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, this timing that we're experiencing right now is unique to.
It's hard to get things to keep on.
It is.
No, that's good.
From the city standpoint, we are gonna take it up as a formal action and approve the amount, because I think that's what the contract calls.
Okay.
How you all do that is up to you, but I think the contract calls for, you need to agree to, this is the amount you're putting in.
And that would be the 200,000 minus the 30, 60, 90 day.
Well, you guys are 150,000.
I'm sorry, I keep looking up to the
If you want to put in
Pettis.
200.
County
You can't just reduce ours, that's what you do.
So, okay, so it's $150,000 and then, minus depending upon when it's put together. Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I guess that's something that you have to address. So,
I'm
Well,
comfortable.
we'll have to address that when we know what that figure is.
I'm comfortable with my agency's responsibility in presenting my budget to you in the order that, it just means I have to start preparing before other agencies do.
sounds good. Thank you.
Is there another part of this?
Yeah, if you're ready for that, sir.
We are.
If you don't mind, I'll come up front here and I'll do the low cap style, the paper style. Come on, Kelvin. Yeah, I can't keep up.
Gallagher said it all.
Gallagher said it all. Yeah, it's hard saying, hard telling what he says. I did this in paperclip style because I think it's easier to kind of lay all 4 pages out side by side. And if you would, and then I can hopefully make some sense out of what I'm talking about here. As we've been talking, the contract really calls for each of us 3 agencies to kind of take a look at the budget and pull all of that together. And further, the contract called for the city was going to transfer the employees that are currently doing the dispatching to the county. And then part of that is we need to figure out the accrued salaries or the accrued vacations and sick leave and all of those kinds of things. And we were going through that process. We were headed to where we were going to January 1, we were going to transfer the employees to the county payroll. And then, the city would then start making its contribution, to that to help offset the cost. One of my routine kind of meetings with our HR director, I was just kind of asking him, hey, how's things going? Are we getting all the numbers crunched and all of that and working with the county to get all of that done? And he said, well, yeah, the paperwork part of it's going pretty well, but he informed me at that time, he said, we're having some dispatchers resign because they don't want to transfer. And so, I started inquiring about, well, why is that? And of course, one of the big things is the benefit package. And the biggest part of that, of course, is the health insurance. So I kind of saw that you guys were struggling with the health insurance this time too, so I feel your pain. But when you looked at the health insurance, and so I asked for that information, and when I looked at it, it's like, well, no wonder. I mean, the employee really is going to go backwards with take-home pay to the tune of about $170,000, and have worse insurance. And if they wanted to cover any of their spouse, children, any of those kinds of things, it was astronomically higher to go to the county's benefit package. Then there was some other things, like the accrual rates for vacation, sick leave, some other things. But, the one that really caught my attention, the biggest one, was the health insurance. And so as I was thinking about that's probably the easiest one to solve. And in solving that, the thought process or the brainchild that I had for solving that helps us actually solve the others too. So what I put together, or what I thought about overnight, and then I come and kind of started crunching the numbers and presented this back to the board, the Pettis County Joint Commission Board, or Joint Dispatch. What is it? I can't remember. Yeah, it's not Joint Commission. It's the hospital. They just had their deal. So, but anyway, presented that back to them, and so we've kind of got some understanding of that. So I appreciate your time, and we'll try to go through this. So if you look at the two healthcare plans side by side, the most comparable one that the current package that the majority of the dispatchers, or the dispatchers that are doing it right now for the city and PCAD, they enjoy this $1,500 deductible plan, or they have all four options, but the majority of them are either in the $1,500 PPO plan or in the HSA, which the city offers. So looking at the comparable to the county, the ones that were the most comparable were the $2,000 deductible, where the employee has to pay $197 out of their pocket just for the employee insurance. Or for family coverage, it's $1,782 a month out of their check, is deducted out of their check to cover their family under insurance. Plus, on top of that, the county is paying $636, and the city right now is only paying $489. So when you really look at it, all in all, between the employee and the agencies, it's about $300 difference, that somebody has to pay. So I tried to look at a way, can we eliminate that? And what I came up with is a way where we can just contract to run the payroll. That would allow the employees to stay in the current plan that they're in. They have the current benefits, the current things, current everything. Another alternative that I looked at was, what if we gave them a raise to offset that, to keep them from going backwards on the take-home pay? That may save some of them. I can't remember what we were about 5 of them that were leaving at one time. So we were struggling to keep enough people to dispatch January 1. That kind of scared me. So anyway, so then when I did the noodling, or the crunching the numbers here, I took the assumptions, and if you look at kind of this benefit package, this page right here, and kind of follow along, I did the assumptions of the 61.2 for the director salary. The dispatch average salary was $1,577, or a wage at $32,800 a year, approximately. 18 dispatch positions doing $2,080 a year. I came up with $651,000. That's going to be the same whether it's on whoever runs the payroll, and
I saw in the budget numbers that's been adjusted, but you know, the premise is still going to be the same, or the results are still going to be the same, but the numbers are going to change a little bit. So there's no difference in the analysis there. But then when you look at the health insurance 636.03, what the agency would pay versus 487.96, the difference of 33,759 or 33,760 per year. And then if you gave the employees a raise to keep their take-home pay the same, or essentially the same, you would do $164 per month per employee. And so that would increase the gross wage that we'd have to pay by $37,403. Then when you take that and do the FICA, you know, the FICA is the same rate as Social Security, is the same rate for both agencies on both payrolls. So but then there's going to be a different gross. So there's a little bit difference. The loggers, the local area government employee retirement system that can be offered both under the county's payroll and the city's payroll. It's a little bit different. The city's benefit is a 2% per year, and the county's is 1.75. And so there's a little bit different, and the accrual rates are a little bit different. So that's actually costs the county less than what it costs the city. So there's 34,000 the other direction. And then the county also does the SERP, and I can't remember what that stands for, but it's another retirement plan. Yeah, well, it's simple, right? That costs the county about 4%, or right, it is 4%. So that's 27,000. So if you look there, oh, I'm sorry, the life and the workers' comp, I didn't have those numbers, but for the city, it would be about $1,000 each, so about $2,000. But I know the county's paying more comp, I just didn't know what their rate was. So anyway, leaving those out that are going to be really immaterial, it's about $67,000 worth of difference. I think the bigger issue or as big of an issue, is what it means for the employee and what it would be for us recruiting and retaining employees going forward. It's a $500 difference in the deductible. And the out-of-pocket is, maximum out-of-pocket is $1,000 difference. And then when we look at that $164 makeup difference, the employee's only going to get about $123 of that benefit in their take-home pay. So really, they're still going to lose $41 in their take-home pay, even with doing that. But then really, when you look beyond that, when you look at the employee and spouse, the employee and children, and the employee and family, it's a huge difference to the employee. So, I mean, when you look at, it would cost $20,000 per year for them to have their family covered, and they're making $32,800. I don't know how they would ever do that. Now, it's still pretty tough at $12,200, but it's $7,600.50 or $7,650 difference in that regard. So just kind of going down and trying to summarize this, basically the plan would be, or the concept would be, is essentially like an ADP or somebody like that. How they do, they essentially just run payroll for you. That's essentially what I'm talking about. That concept where the joint dispatch would contract with the city to run the payroll. That's all the city would do. It's not. The joint dispatch would still have control, still supervise, still everything. It's just a way to get the opportunity for them to benefit with or participate in the group plans that the city has set up. But all we're really doing is we're administratively running the payroll for them and keeping them in there. The city would do that at no cost, whereas ADP would do it, at a cost. But the payroll system for the city is already set up. It's not that big of a deal for us to do, a few more employees. We would want to have all of the employees or make available, if joint dispatch was if that's what they wanted, we would make available for all employees to be under the same. And I think Danielle was pretty adamant about that. She would want them all to be the same so that we didn't have those problems. We would just simply run reports after every payroll, and that report would tell you the amount that the city paid out, and then the joint dispatch would just reimburse the city, or we would deduct it from our contribution, however, but we can make the numbers work. Another part of this, and this comes back to where I was saying we might be able to solve some of those other issues as well. Since they're really on the city's payroll only in name, we can have different policies for them. So, they would run under whatever joint dispatches policy would want it to be for accrued vacation, accrued sick leave, holidays, all of that. However they wanted to handle it, they put together the policies, and the city has the systems to where we could manage that for them. But it could be different than the counties, it could be different than the cities, it could be whatever they want it to be. So we could soften that up, soften the transfer up, and have the accruals to handle differently. So anyway, that's another benefit to doing this. Let's see, simply put, it's really just the Pettis County Joint Dispatch would really control the employees. They would tell the city who to put on the payroll, what to pay them, all of those kinds of things, and then the city would just administer it for them. The better package again for the immediate issue and then also for, I think, as important or more important is going forward, it's easier to retain and recruit employees with a better benefit package. Saves approximately $67,000 a year, and more take-home pay for the employees, and more flexible for handling other benefits. I kind of rambled through that, but I'd be happy to answer any questions or concerns or thoughts that you may have.
So next year when the board comes to us again, Mr. Chairman's okay?
Yeah.
Next year when the board comes to us again, say, hey, look, we're going to give our people a different insurance package and everything else, and we're probably going to bump you up from 150 to 170 or whatever it takes to cover that. But we have input to agree or disagree with that, right?
I'm not sure I followed that. So,
all right. Next year, looking to have a better benefits package for the dispatchers, okay, which is going to cost them much more money. And in turn, isn't going to cost us as users, the end users, more money.
In principle, yes. Because in principle, what we're really doing is, but we have several different options there. In principle, what we're doing is the three different agencies are agreeing to put all of our money in the pot, and whatever the pot needs is what we're going to make up. If the expenditures get larger, then we either got to find expenses to cut elsewhere, or we got to ante up more. Or if the revenues come up, then those kind of things.
Now, all these employees today, or the employees we're going to have in the next 3 months or whatever, Matt, are those people going to get the insurance policy through you all, even if they're a new employee rather than the old timey city employee?
Yeah, under this concept, yes.
Yeah, under that concept, we have to get to that concept. That right now they're being hired as the plan that they're going to be hired as county employees. That's one of the reasons for the discussion.
Yeah, under this plan. Now, partially to answer your question, I think where you're going is okay, we come back next year And if the city's group plan, it changes a bunch and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, we don't want that. Then all we do is we change the contract and we put it under the counties or we put it under PCAD. I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah, they love to come under.
Yeah.
Beat down doors for it.
So, but I mean, it's just different options. This is not something that is set in stone. It can be changed, you know, but I think right now, it's the best option we have to get us through maintaining the employees to where we can dispatch after we do the transfer or flip the switch, so to speak. And then, yeah, who knows what the future comes, but.
That was some pretty quick thinking out of the box, Joe. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
I have a question, and I'm not sure who it really is to address. I don't know if it's Dr. Gus or Danielle or who, but so as far as the EMD dispatch expense, we have paid that in the past. Will we continue to pay that, or is that moving over?
That's moving over to their budget once the merger is complete. That's part of when I was speaking of the licenses earlier, that would move over in the budget. The budget that you see covers all the licenses, currently the ones that you are paying.
No, I'm asking about Dr. Gus's fee for the EMD.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a separate fee that I will be responsible to Dr. Gus to provide director services to the EMD aspect.
Dr. Gus, is it the same fee or?
I have $5,000 for the first year, $6,000 for the second year.
Yeah, I'm just asking Dr. Gus if he's still going to charge us for EMD as well, because we've been paying that.
No.
Okay. All right. That's what my question was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the answer?
I didn't hear the answer. He said no.
Yeah. So the Joint Commission Communications, they'll pay for the EMD instead of us now, is what Dr. Gus just said.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
But isn't that a contractual agreement with Dr. Gus that we had?
Currently,
And the term for that is,
just moved to 2 weeks,
3 years, 3 year, 1 year contract.
which will just get a new contract.
And then, Matt, you were saying on the licenses for the CADs and whatnot, those will still cover?
Yeah, the joint communications will take over the payment of all of those. Because like we have been paying some stuff, and then PCAD has been paying some of that with the interface and the licenses, but that's all being integrated into the new system. Sorry, I spoke out of turn. I didn't realize you were earlier speaking of the EMD doctor side of it, not the actual software. I was speaking to the software. I apologize.
Well, I had a question on that as well, but I was talking about Dr. Gus's fee at that question. Okay. Thank you.
Were there any other questions?
Sorry, I do have one more question. So if I heard that right, what we'll be paying the city of Sedalia until the switch over, and we'll be paying what we're currently paying, or we'll be paying the increased amount?
What you're currently saying, that contract will exist until we switch it over, and then the contract with Joint Dispatch will then take over. And
Okay.
that's what that budget presentation is for, or is about, is how much is needed for your contribution to make the total pie.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, we'll pay the same amount no matter which.
Yeah. I think it's-
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
We'll move on to officers report. Chief's report.
Was you guys gonna take that up for a vote, the budget itself, so we could get a vote from you, the city, and the county as well?
We can, yes. I'll take a motion to approve the budget presentation.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Just to confirm, we're. No, I'm good. I'm good.
All in favor, say, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Good, sir. Are you also agreeable to the style of payment where it would be a contract? We would have to amend the contract basically to run those on the city payroll as a contract. Are you guys good with that style so that you can get that?
Mr. Chairman, since we already have voted on the first piece, I would so move that we accept that piece of the proposal.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand.
Say yeah.
Okay, Chief's report.
Okay. You guys can say as long as you don't. Just let you know there's no party.
There's no party?
So I guess that means there's no food then.
And you're gonna be up to.
Thank you.
It was about 10 o'clock last night.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
I would be forthright and say that I have my vaccine. Symptoms that you get with it, so I may keep this a little bit brief. I put this, again, I think this is just gonna be a recurring thing in the theme in my reports as far as the mileage on our units. What I had through the command vehicles up there on the top, and what I've done, the color coding is simple medical triage. So if it's red, it's probably needing the most attention. If it's yellow, it's something that's looming. And then if green, it's something that we're doing well with and not having any significant issues. So if you'll go right below that, in the little starred items, unit 7, this is probably the biggest information. Last week, we do have a blown engine on that set. It's, unit 7. It was creeping up on 200,000 miles. Spilled a bunch of oil. Basically, we put something back in it, limped it to the store, and they basically looked at it. It is indeed blown. So that's a problem.
You know what's blown?
Yes, it is. It is.
I mean, is it crank? Is it?
It's toast.
Okay.
It needs to be edged. I don't recommend, just to be clear, I do not recommend we put a new engine in that aging truck. It's not an ARV. It's one of our oldest units, and the mileage just doesn't make any sense to put a motor in there that, I think the board will probably have to make a decision on what to do with that. My recommendation is we don't fix it. We can probably sell it as is. We can put it on gov deals. There's a couple options we can do to boneyard it, but it's really not going to do us any good. So, as you guys know, the older units that we have, if they were running and they were trading, we were only getting about 10,000 on them on trade-in. So, which a new motor is about $9,800. So, you can spend it, but then what's the next thing that's going to happen? Yes,
Chief, I have a couple questions.
yes.
Sorry, we're over discussing, you were talking about unit 1 and unit 2.
Yeah.
Okay, unit one had new engine or new trans or something?
Unit one, I don't have the records in front of me.
Well, roughly.
We've replaced 2 motors and 1 transmission, to my knowledge. But Roy could probably look that up for me if he's still on here. I'm not sure or not. Unit, let's see. Unit 6 is the one we just put the new motor in. And that is one with 223,000. That's the highest mileage, but we were intentionally doing that to limp it along. Everything else was pretty sound with the unit.
Right, that was gonna be our backup.
Yeah. So far, so good on it, but that indeed is running out of warranty as well with the new motor. So that's why it's in yellow there.
And unit number 7 is an Osage
Yes,
box,
yes.
just as unit number 1, number 2 are Osage boxes.
Yeah, unit number 1 and number 2 were actually the 2 remaining very first units PCAD ever bought. And back in 2013, they were Warrior is the type of unit they were mostly.
The reason I asked that question for the board's information is when it's the Osage box, it's gonna be difficult to rechassis it.
Yes.
It's not gonna be cost effective. So when you start looking at number 7, number 2, and number 1, chances are we're gonna run the wheels off those things and not replace the boxes. So we'll have to replace all 3 of those units with new units made from the place in South Carolina, North Carolina. Is that, just so people can understand that. Now, but all the ones that are in the green right now are in essence the newer ones that we can rechassis.
That's correct. So something to think about when we're talking about needing new units next year versus in the years following that, it is going to get cheaper. Ideally, we get 2 new units or 1 new unit and remounted, 2 remounted, 2 remounted, however it works out. Basically, we're going to chew up and spit out 2 units from now until we either raise the call volume or something.
Because we're going to talk about that in the budget. But in essence, we have 1 unit coming in to replace unit 7. We've already budgeted for that. We ordered it. And my understanding is this year we were looking, and we haven't approved it yet, for replacing 2 units, which is not unreasonable. But the thing that is we're not looking at rechassing 2 units. We're looking at replacing 2 units. And that would pretty much be the end of replacement, and rechassing would start nice and fresh after that. With the exceptions of the 2 units that are courier, transporter, or whatever you call those things.
The transits, yeah. Now, the good news is transits have power loads in them, so that will save some money also. Those are rather high dollar items. But the older Osages do not, 1, 2, 7, 6 do not have power load systems in them. So that will be the standard cost that we presented to the board before. But once we start remounting, just like every other piece of equipment, there will come a point where they have to be replaced, but they will last us. They will be able to be remounted. They will last longer. So, not great news on the ambulances, but I thought the triage chart might be helpful. Windsor Ambulance District went down there for their board meeting last week. They are considering, they're strongly considering. I talked to them about purchasing a generator for the bay and station down there, similar to what we have, except with some lessons learned in installation for obvious reasons, and probably a little bit smaller because they don't have near the requirements that we do here as far as electrical needs. Ryan across the street is working with them pretty closely to get them some numbers, but I think they're pretty interested in doing that, so I want to share that with them. Education software is another agenda item, I believe, so we can come back to that, but that's the second page of my report with some bullet points on there. Wait, let's go for now. Yes, okay. And a staff vaccinations update. Some of you may have read in the paper that Bothwell was the recipient of some unneeded vaccination doses from Benton County. And they have graciously moved into, allowed us to go over and get some of our staff vaccinated. As far as the people that work at PCAD who want the vaccination now, we break down just about every, just like every industry, we did a lot of polling throughout the community and throughout the county to see where people were at as far as did they want the shot? Did they want the shot, but maybe let's wait and get some data, or did they just not want the shot? And almost down the wire, I mean, across the entire county. It was done in thirds. So about a third of the people wanted it, about a third of the people wanted it, let's kind of wait and get pragmatic. And then a third were just opposed to it this time. So with that in mind, out of our full-time staff, a third was, it literally broke down perfectly by those numbers. I had 12, 13 were full-time staff. So we've got between now and the 31st, all of those people are scheduled in. So we've been doing a little cat herding as far as getting everybody in. They did a trial run over Buffalo. I think this was in the paper, so I don't want to give news over again. But they're getting the process together pretty well. It went pretty smoothly. We all went over. We got the dose. You waited 15 minutes for any adverse symptoms, and then head out the door. Anyway, we got to come back in 3 weeks for this the Pfizer dose. So everybody's doing fine with it. Try and work it out to where they get it on their days off. So if they do have any significant symptoms, try not that it's not going to affect them at work. But so far, so no issues there. Going on. So like I said, big thank you to Buffalo for thinking of it. I think they're going to have some remaining doses and maybe even try and spread those out a little bit further with some of the hospital stuff in Kansas City area are in need for it and have a lot of COVID patients on staff. Let's see. I think that's all I got. I've got in my report. Like I said, I had some bullet points on the software that we spoke of last time. And one thing I did not put in here, I want to let the board know that Lucas devices are in fact implemented. Dr. Gustafson and Justin have worked out a protocol that's been approved and implemented, so everybody's trained up. The units are on the ambulances and work to go on there. So that's anything to add to that, Justin? Yeah, it took quite a bit of updating all the protocols. Anytime there was even cardiac arrest situation, it was woven into about probably 8 different places in the protocols. So we've got everything refined and back in business and good to go. And luckily have not had the opportunity to use it. So any questions on that little bit of abbreviation report?
Are there any questions for Eric? If not, we'll move on to the addition to the agenda, and that's discussion about ordering ambulances for next year.
Right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It just brought to my attention, I want to share this with the board, that with regard to some pricing information, there is about a $5,550 savings on each ambulance if we would order, place the order this year. Not pay for it, but place the order, secure the order. I just want to bring that attention to the board, and I think it'd be prudent to take that action to go ahead. If the board is so inclined to move forward with our commitment to 10 new units.
Possibly that $5,500 per unit.
Per unit, so it'd be about just shy of $12,000 savings if we made that commitment this year. And Roy, you with us on that?
They fall asleep. It's dark room,
And Mr. Chairman, I lose track of time, but from the time we place the order, you don't get it the next day. So
No, sir.
What is it, 3 months out or 6 months
It was
out?
going 3 to 4 months. Right now it's 6 months out. I don't know if that's, I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. There was a lot of demand because number one, Ford did put out a 2020 model of that chassis, as well as I would imagine some of the CARES Act funds that were used to purchase ambulances across the nation. So some agencies got that money and used it in that way.
So it might be 6 months.
It could be 6 months. Yeah.
Yes.
So far, on average, they've delivered ahead of time slightly.
So how does this fit in the budget? We budgeted for 2.
Yes, it's in the budget for 2021.
But I guess we could reduce that. From the 235 that's in the budget to 230.
The amount will be 236,968 for 2 of them. This is the figure I
So included in that ambulance cost is also the radios and the CADs get added to that on top of the actual ambulance. So that's what drives that price up on the budget.
And the striker,
We have the cots, we would need the power loads for those systems, so we'd have to buy a cot, which we, the board purchased those, the large lot of those, I believe, about a year and a half ago, so we would need the power load system, not the cot.
which is about how much?
Off the top, I believe, Jamie, are you looking at those figures right now? Is it 230 or 235 with the power load?
With,
no cot?
yeah, that's my understanding. Roy.
Yeah, power load is included in the price of the ambulances.
Okay.
At the 228, 484.
Yes, that includes power load.
All of that. Okay.
So all of that's built into the price of the truck. Just the only thing that we account for past what is on the past the 228 484, we have, that's why it's 235, because we have to buy radios, new computers, and the mounts and stuff like that would go on it, since it's a new truck and we're phasing out the old equipment.
So is there a motion to place the orders for the 2 ambulances to be delivered next year?
I'll make that motion that we purchase 2 ambulances with Mr. Chris's expectation that it's going to be so many dollars lower, which is even better than what we expected. And of course, understanding these ambulances are going to come fully equipped with the striker frame in it, because I know that's a lot of money. But it's money well spent.
But in this, it's per this quote, this proposal you all were provided. So.
We were? Okay.
Yes.
If I could point out also they're cheaper if we order before the end of the year.
And that's the reason I brought this to the attention of the board.
By about
$5,546, right?
But I don't have the exact amount, what it's going to cost us, so I'll refer that to Mr. Fritz.
Well, yeah, I go ahead and just amend the motion of the amount of $228,484 per ambulance, and that'd be times 2. Now, $436,968.
So there's a motion on the floor to approve the ordering of 2 ambulances to be delivered next year for the 228,000. Is there a second for that?
Absolutely. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yes. Personally, I'd like to see us approve the budget with the money in it. If the money's available, then of course that would give the chief the authority to go ahead and order it for next year. In other words, I'm not so sure I understand the purpose of this particular motion, because if we approve it in the budget, then when he orders it is really kind of, as Mr. Prince pointed out, we're not pay for it until we get it next year. So I think once you put it in the budget, that gives them the authority to order it, take advantage of the savings and go.
But we're in the 2020 budget year. We can't authorize spending or his given authority to Mr. Pennington to place an order and incurring that type of responsibility upon the district without this authority. So, I mean, the money's allotted in the 2021 budget.
So if we approve the budget tonight for 2021, we wouldn't have the authority to take that budget and order the 2 ambulances until January 1st?
Mr. Chairman, it's been in the past, any budgetary item is not required for the man running this district to come to this board for. So this is outside of the budget. I mean, it's not in, we're not in 2021, so we're not authorized to spend that money. We need, in the past, what we've done is formally, as a board, approved Roy and the chief placing the order for a certain amount. And that's merely what Jamie and I decided we wanted to come to the board with, to get your all's agreement that saving money now by placing the order now is a good, prudent thing to do for the taxpayers.
Yeah, I'd be for it, you know, if we wouldn't save money by waiting. You know, I just didn't understand the procedural.
Right, if we place the order on January 1, the bid or this is no longer the bid, it's $10,000.
Yeah, I follow that.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor of authorizing the placement of the order, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your right hand. CFO report.
Okay, more numbers for y'all. The report starts on page 12. It's kind of out of order this time. I'm going to start on page 13. Page 13 is the bank balances on the 17th versus the 3rd. It's up about 247,000. Part of that's the timing difference on sales tax. And then I also showed the difference between December 18th of 20 versus December 18th of 19. And you can see there we're up about $1 million. I did make a mistake there, that EMS MC credit card clearing. Just real quick, I wanted to explain that. So what happens with our new billing company is they actually process the credit cards and we don't get charged any fees. But when I get a credit card payment in the mail or faxed to me, I go ahead and record it so I can make sure that that gets accounted for on our bill. We get credit for that. So that's not really cash. It's an amount that EMS MC has received in cash that they need to credit off of our bill. So that's what I keep that for. Any questions on the bank balances? Okay. The cash reserve analysis, we are just about as flat as you can get there, 0.06 days difference. So not much difference between last meeting and this meeting. Pages 15 through 17, there's just the totals on page 17, is the check register. I wanted to point out to y'all on 12/16, towards the bottom of page 16, you'll see that we got a deposit for $10,901.87. That is HHS funds. I don't know if you remember back in, I think it was April, we received about $82,000 in round 1 of the HHS funds. This is round 3, I believe. I did a webinar today about all of the funding and the reporting and all of those things. And they said it could be making up the difference for round 1 actually, or it could be for our additional losses for round 3. So I haven't gotten a chance to do the math to figure out what that accounts for, but I believe it's round 3 because we didn't get anything in round 2. So overall, we've gotten about $93,000 in HHS funds for 2020. And then we'll have to report on those in January about what those funds went to. Our decreased revenue as well as our PPE expenses is what that has went for. Any other questions on the check register? Okay. So then we'll go back to page 12 is the total bills that are due now. And I realized I left out the details of the bills. So I provided those to you tonight. They were part of that Mike Keith stack. There was additional items in there and that was the detail of the bills. Any questions on any of those bills? I did want to point out on the city of Sedalia, that first $4,444.52. That's those licenses Mr. Wirt was talking about in their presentation of the joint communications. That was our licenses for 2020. Sorry, Mr. Nail, you had a question.
Yes, Jamie, on the over 90, I noticed there's striker sales, 780, 785.
Yes. So
Over
we have
90 days.
time with Stryker. So we got a statement this time. And there was an old bill on there that we'd never received. And this is the first time we've gotten a statement on it showing it was past due. And that was from, get to the details here. That was from March for some battery chargers. There was a couple of different items we had ordered and we had returned one, but we still owed for the other one. And I didn't have that invoice. So yeah, I didn't receive that until 12/18.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Are there any other questions on the bill?
I also provided tonight the sales tax receipts for the year of 2020. It actually has 14 through 2020, but we received $324,388.35 in December, which was about 43,000 more than we received in 2019. And overall for the year, we've received $170,000 more in sales tax than we did in 2019. That's about a 5.67% increase. Part of that is due to the increase back in the rate to the half cent. And then part of it is due to increased sales. Even during the pandemic, during the missed state fair, all of that, we still had an increase. So any questions on any of that? That is the end of that portion.
Are there any other questions on that part of the report? If not, I would take a motion to approve payment of outstanding bills. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Medical Director's Report.
All right. Well, I was going to mention that the 911 center had approached me about being their medical director, but Danielle already did that. So enough said about that. We had an opportunity back in the middle of the month. There was a trauma patient that was brought to Bothwell by an outside agency that was really severely injured. And Bothwell was not the ideal, but she needed a level 1 trauma center, but she was critically injured and they brought her here. When the transfer was toned out, they said, you know, if you can bring another person. And what this did, it opened up an opportunity. The helicopter service was grounded because of weather. And from time to time, they have always mentioned that, you know, if you need some extra people, you know, since we're not flying, we're available. Well, this was an opportunity where we had to bring them in for additional people for the transfer. And it worked out really well. The lady had a chest tube in, she had IVs running. Her blood pressure was marginal, but it held for the whole time. But it was just an excellent opportunity that we had to work with the MU3 crew. And I look forward to, you know, I don't know that it's something that we're going to establish, you know, any kind of SOG or protocol for, but it's nice to know that we have them available if they're not flying for the benefit of these critical patients that are being transferred to tertiary or level 1 centers. And other than that, as far as I'm still communicating with the crews, with the email system, with our patient care reporting, and things are, the folks are holding up well in this time, and they're doing an admirable job. I really appreciate their dedication and you know, the hard work that they put in every day when they're here. So that will conclude my report. Any questions from the board? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Committee reports, there have been no strategic planning committee meetings. We move on to unfinished business, elective benefits recommendation.
So we got some feedback from the union regarding the elective benefits, and their recommendation was to change to Allstate. Remember, we talked about this several meetings ago. These are benefits that PCAD doesn't contribute to. These are all employee paid benefits. So we just are bringing it for you guys to approve as changing to Allstate from Aflac and Liberty National.
Mr. Chairman, just a general question, why did they think that Allstate was better than what they had? I mean, was there something that jumped out at them that cheaper?
Well, what they indicated to me was that several of them were not very happy with Aflac right now.
Okay.
And that the premiums are less. That was the two reasons that they gave me.
Yeah, I mean,
That's everything.
Good reasons.
Puts everything in one spot.
and to me, that's a good reason for the union. I mean, you know,
Take a motion to approve that recommendation.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Training software.
Hey, yeah, oh. You take this off here.
I asked Justin to kind of go over some of these bullet points. I just did want to start off. I mean, I've been doing this for, I've been grading, training in EMS for about 25 years, and I've gathered a massive amount of materials. And one of the things I found most interesting about this software is I can implement everything that I've saved over the years, because it's, you know, a career's worth of training programs, and implement it really easily into this. There's a lot of other facets to its capabilities, but I just found that one to be the most personal, gratifying. Because right now it's all over the place, and I can put it in one spot.
Sure. So I'll speak just a little bit about that. I apologize I wasn't here last meeting. I unfortunately COVID was down for quite a while with that. So they're talking about what this new program does is, and it's in one of the bullet points, it has a file center where you can store and upload any documents, any files, any videos, anything like that. It goes into one place. Right now, I have it in about 4 to 5 different places. That's just that portion. Just what he was talking about, like education. I have to keep record of each individual that is an employee here at Pettis County EMS District. I have to keep track of every record that they continue education, any certification classes they take, any classes that I put on here. I keep that in their file, and I'll keep it on the computer as well. And that's, each employee has its own file, and it's in a different place than if I was to look for their licensing, when their license is expired, okay? So each, depending on whether you're an EMT or paramedic, you have certain licenses that you have to keep up, whether it's every year, 2 years,
for 4 years or 5 years. So we at Pettis County require that our employees maintain certain credentials and keep up on them. So that is in a different place right now. That is in a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet that I built myself to kind of keep track of who's expiring and when. Okay. What it boils down to is this program, this software will now allow me to keep everything in one spot. And it's literally right there on one page. I don't have to jump through different folders and different options. So like Eric said, Eric left me behind a whole bunch of materials, good material, and it's kind of on the computer too, scattered out. So it would be very beneficial to have that kind of all in one place. It kind of goes along also streamlining our communication with education. Right now, the system that we have, what we were using is, it does not function the way that it should. And I'll just leave it at that. I call it homework assignments. They're basically video modules or some type of learning that each crew must take. Must go through this module, must do and do a test afterwards. Okay, I require that they do 2 of these a month. And again, it's just to help keep refreshed on things that maybe we don't cover when I teach in person. So I send out those assignments. Those assignments, they're not getting to our people. So I send out an email. So communications is a big struggle for me. There's really no way of knowing that our crews got that information at all. So the software program that we're using now, they will have to click 5 different times just to get the assignments. They'll have to download those assignments and then take the test on a whole different webpage. So it is a burden for them, and I understand that it's a time consuming and it's really a pain, and it shouldn't be that way. This, again, those assignments that I would send out, all those hundreds, like the first bullet point, hundreds of pre-built online courses. Okay, so these are online educated, approved by it's not only the state of Missouri, but also the National Registry. All those are online. And it's all on the same page. What this does is it has a bulletin board. It's kind of like it's on their website, I guess, if I were to describe it, that all of our employees have access to. It's a training site bulletin board. You go there and you can find out what homework is done or what homework is due. If you have any messages that I have to send to you, it can all go through there. A lot of the crews will take courses outside of Pettis County EMS District that may be another job or at a conference, and they'll send me all their certificates, which I want, so I can upload into their education file. That lets me know where they're at with their education. So I have to print that off of an email, okay, and save it to my computer, put it in their files. This program will allow them to upload it themselves and keep it and put it directly into their file. So again, one of the big points is that everything is going to be on this software in one spot. It's not just for me, it's for the crews as well. And so just to kind of give you guys a brief understanding of how this works. EMTs and paramedics in the state of Missouri, to become licensed, you must be national registered. Okay, the national registry for both EMTs and paramedics are good for 2 years. So you have to renew that. The way you renew that is with continuing education. The national registry is very stringent on what they allow their EMTs and paramedics to use. So most of, roughly 85% of all their continuing education must be in-person training. So logging on to a computer and taking the test, that doesn't cut it for them. The state of Missouri is different. They said that you can use all of your education that way. Well, as you know, with COVID, it's hard to get 15 or 20 people. We're not going to do that. We're not going to pack a whole room full of people to do that. It's just not safe. So this program here offers what they call virtual instructor-led training, okay, which does count for the National Registry in their hours because it is an actual instructor. The only difference is these courses are pre-recorded, so that you can go in and click on them at any time. I myself will be recording several classes to upload to this site as well, so that other agencies can log on and watch my videos and get education knowledge that way. The resources, we have access to over 40,000 different training resources throughout the United States. So now if I choose not to share that, I don't have to, but most people do. They share their training with other agencies because it benefits everyone in the long run. I don't want to make this take too long. I know it's already been a long night. Each course that we offer here has to have certain things to classify or qualify as a class. So we have to have a roster, we have to have a presentation, we have to have evaluations, and we have to have a test or some knowledge check that they learn something from this class. We do all that on paper now. Okay, so I print all that stuff off, the guys sign it, I go scan it into my computer and put it in their file and then put it in my file. Again, all this is going to be on this software. There's no more paper that's going to be involved. So when the class is over, I can build a custom test on this site. They can go take that test, they can fill out their evaluations, and it logs who was on, how long they were on, and it's huge for accountability, especially for me on my end. I could go on all night. I'm pretty excited.
Would you mind if I ask like how this integrates with other local training uses? Like the best example I can think of is the Lucas devices, how we might use this.
Sure. So what we do now is if we have a new piece of equipment, and Lucas device is a great example. We have, as you know, we have crews at Windsor, and we have crews on TT. So we have to figure out, when we get a new piece of equipment, we have to figure out how to train all those people. What we've been doing is, hey, bring one truck down from Windsor, we'll run you through it, make sure you're good on it, and then go back and tell the other crew to come. People get calls in the middle of it. It's a hassle. So with this program, what this software allows me to do is set up whatever piece of equipment it is in this training room. I can make a video of this showing everybody the ins and the outs. Teach them all I need to do. All they got to do is come to their stations, click on video and watch it. And then I'll build a little test quiz after it to make sure that they retain the knowledge that they want. And that's it. So there's no more coming down here for a couple hours and leaving a truck, one truck in here or TT. So that is a huge benefit for us.
And that's not just followed through, Justin. So all VCs, myself, anybody in administrative, anybody in administration can get in there and say, okay, this person X needs to do this. It's right now we have to depend on Justin being here, being accessible, all those files, everything is integrated in this, I guess.
Correct. I think one of the biggest plus for me, just me as an educator, is the tracking of what's going on out there. Okay, I can prove that this person logged on, that they watched this, they took this test. Okay, I can prove. And when we talk about credentialing, one thing that we don't ever want to do is let one person's license lapse without catching it. Okay, should never happen. I built an Excel spreadsheet that counts down by the day, but it still requires me to manually go in and look at it. Okay, to say, okay, this person. So I keep it on that Excel spreadsheet. I also keep it on our scheduling software, EMS Manager. It's on there as well. I have it in 3 different places. This again would allow me to put it in one place. And if somebody is coming due or getting close within 30, 45 days, 60 days, I can set that how I want it. It sends me an email and lights and bells start flashing on my computer to alert me to it. Now I keep on top of it, but again, it's just happened to go from here to there to this, and it's just all spread out in so many different places. So, and that's kind of a standard throughout EMS, unless you buy a program that has it on there where you're able to write one. You know, that's how they do it. And this program here offers all this into one, and I think that's the most exciting thing for anybody. I know several agencies use this throughout the state of Missouri. State Fire Department uses this. this same system. They love it. I talked to their training officer, talked to the training officer at St. Charles County, actually, to see kind of what he thought about it. When I was looking into this to replacing the one that we're using now that's set to expire. And everybody's had great things to say about it. So it's not a new company, it's been around a long time. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll probably set up for online and talk about it.
Redundancy, is there some redundancy for some reason if this software would fail, or if we said next year, go with you guys?
Sure. Sure. So as far as, I'm assuming you're talking about the files that I store on their server, their site. Is that what you mean? So if we decide that, or this company says, you know, we're not going to be around, or we don't like this company, something happens, I'm able to transfer all those files back out onto my computer. Okay. No issues whatsoever.
Into a format you come.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. There's fail safes. I've been assured of that, and I feel comfortable in their answers and what they have to tell me as well. So.
That's all I have. Sure, thank you.
Are there any questions?
No, I took the time to meet with the training officer and also to talk with several other people references software. And having done his job for several years in the military, the record keeping is a nightmare. With what I was able to see with this one, you're talking about snip and click and you've got it. The cost of it was $7,500 if we buy it today, or we order it today. Right now, we're paying 4,000 something. Did I say 7,500? But can you give us the costs of what we're paying now and what we're going to get?
I have that somewhere.
We paid about $3,500 for 2019. And let me pull it up here. And this one is about 7,200. So a little bit more.
Yeah. So, right, Jamie's correct on that. Thank you very much. I don't have the numbers for what we have now. One good thing about this new program, and I know that Eric mentioned it in the last meeting, but the program we're using now, if we assign an employee a code to have access to the software that we have now, and they quit the next day, that's theirs. We can't take that back from them. Okay, we can't reuse that. That was just however much it is per person gone. And I have to use another, I have to, somebody to come in and replace them, I have to then repurchase that. With this program, if somebody leaves, that code is canceled, and the remainder of whatever's left on that, I can use for the next person coming in. So it's not wasted. That is transferred over to another employee. Okay. And to be clear, there will be no charge for 2020. Our current license will expire in 2021 with the software that we're using now. So we were going to either have to re-up or find something new. We don't have to pay anything until after 2021. Until 2021, excuse me. So the benefit that they're offering us is their $1,500 setup fee. If you ever deal with anything like this, you know that the setup is intensive. You have to get the name of all employees there, whether they're a paramedic or they're EMT, are they nationally registered, or are they just state certified? And everybody has different requirements depending on what license level you are. So we have to tailor this whole program to our staff, and that takes a long, long time. So they charge $1,500 for that, and I don't blame them at all. I think that's a reasonable price. But the representative did tell me that if we do sign this contract and agree to this, we sign this before 2021, that they will waive that $1,500 setup fee. So we'd save $1,500 on the top, and that's a one-time fee. It's not a recurring fee, but.
Are there any other questions? If not, I would take a motion and purchase the training software.
So, I'll second it.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Judge.
We'll move on to new business, administrative assistant job description, duties, and estimated time.
Okay, that is on page 9 of the packet, is the job description. And then page 11 is proposed duties of this person. So we've needed some help in the office for quite a while. Last year, we had several staff that were on light duty for quite a while, and several different staff, and it all seemed to get timed just about right, where when one would go back to full duty, the next one would be on light duty. And we had that, I know we had it the entire time that I worked from home, that 6 weeks or whatever. We had light duty staff there assisting me, and that helped me to get caught up. But since we've not had that, there are so many things that are on my list to do that I cannot get to. You know, there's pretty simple things, but they still have to be done. But some of these minute tasks take a lot of time. I don't know how many of you guys have seen the stack of mail we get, but it's significant, the amount of mail that has to be processed. And I'm the one that does that generally. On here is listed other duties to help other staff as well, not just myself. There's duties that can help Justin, Eric, Roy, and even the supply officer. Our supply officer is a full-time paramedic and then also does supplies. And part of that job is helping to maintain that supply inventory. That's a huge clerical task that somebody could help with. So we've just kind of estimated what the time is, and you can see we're over 40 hours here. Not all of these things have to be done every week. I did try to kind of estimate what I thought it would be a week, but there's still things that other people in the admin staff can do. One of the main things that is already being done by an admin staff and getting paid for is the secretarial duties for the board, and that amounts to about 8 hours a week. So, you know, that's a day right there that we're already paying somebody to do that. The rest of these items are all things that have to get done, and somebody's got to do them, and they take away from the other things. Since I've started here, the reporting has went from we turn in an annual audit to the state auditor once a year, to we do Missouri GEMT, we do CMS cost reporting, we do HHS reporting. You know, there's just been so many things added over the years, as well as compliance. There's a lot of compliance things that we need to be doing that I can't get to because I have to get the bills paid. I've got to get the employees paid and keep everything running on that side. So we're just asking the board to allow us to get some help with some of the regular administrative tasks that need to happen. I've included a salary in the budget currently that is for you guys to look at tonight. I added 30,000, but as I said, there's already somebody getting paid 8 hours a week to do some of these clerical duties. So I didn't really want to paint us into a corner as far as wages, because I think we want to hire the best and somebody that's going to stick around. We train them to do all these things. We don't want them leaving to go somewhere else as soon as they get trained. So Eric, Roy, you guys want to add anything?
I went through Jamie's list and I think honestly, a lot of these numbers are conservative and a lot more hours get spent than sometimes we like to admit, but they do have to be done. They're very critical. A lot of the legal records, a lot of the Even special duties officers will have to sometimes spend extra time beyond their shift doing things that might be able to be done by this person at a regular rate, not an overtime rate, not a special duty rate, but a regular rate that makes it a lot easier. I think I think we'd all do a better job, you know, as far as our production, our output, what we're able to provide the board, the information that we're able to give you so that you can make informed decisions would be improved by this. Further on down the line, if we look at taking billing in-house, this is something that you learn a lot of things in EMS by osmosis. You stand around it and it seeps into you. So I think this might be a nice, also a first step towards getting somebody acquainted with how we do things, acquainted with the billing process, acquainted with just our requirements in general when it comes to the administrative side of things. So I think it's a step in the right direction that it's just inevitable that we're going to need that help. One of my big things is I don't like to have a top-heavy organization, but I think we're all in a spot where we really need the help. I mean, we're putting in, there's nights I don't get out here until 10 o'clock at night. I know Jamie puts an extraordinary amount of time in this, and really, he just lives there. So I'd really appreciate the board's consideration of this.
And this person would cross-train with you, Jamie, to do some basic things in your absence, like payroll or help pay the bills.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to have some internal controls still in place. Because we don't want, them to be able to do things that could cause issues. But, this would also help. I think the only place that the auditor ever kind of questions is that I open the mail and I do the deposits. So that could separate that duty. So we don't even have that question. A lot of our mail goes to the billing company, but we still get a lot of payments in our office, and people, Mr. Fritz was there today. Some people just show up at the door with money. So I think it could help with that last little piece of segregation of duties as well. But yes, they could help with payroll. They could learn how to do payroll. So that if I get sick or take a vacation, right now, if I take vacation, I take payroll with me and have to do that on vacation. So yes, that could definitely assist with that.
And too, Mr. Chairman, it ensures that if something tragic were to happen, we'd have someone with a little bit of learned knowledge that could get us to the stop.
So right now, how do we handle that if Jamie's down sick? Who's handling payroll and taking care of things? Jamie. Who's down sick? Jamie.
Doesn't matter if I'm sick.
So we've been operating that way for the last 3 years.
Yes, sir. So if she got run over by a truck walking out her front door coming to work tomorrow, we'd be in a heap of trouble. Heap of trouble.
Have no brainer.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mrs. Wolverine, you've got on here board secretary duties, 8 hours. Is that 8 hours that we're paying for IT now?
Yes.
So whatever we're paying him, that's going to go away then?
Correct. It would be absorbed in salary.
Other than his normal salary, of course. And then so I can see that operating under normal circumstances, but with all of this, or is it still going to require his assistance on making sure we're set up to where we can have these visual meetings and all that kind
Still
of stuff?
have to do the IT.
That's what IT.
Yes, but
But so that's part of his original job description, so that he knows he's got to do this part anyway.
Right.
Okay.
Without any additional compensation.
Okay.
Instead of putting board packets together, he could show me how to do it. That would be,
Yeah.
that would be helpful too.
Okay, all right, I understand.
Yeah, I think all of these things that had on the list, we're currently paying somebody to do. So
Much less efficient.
Is these the people that are doing these things now, and also doing the regular duties, does that kick them into overtime?
Most of the people that are doing this stuff are administrative salary or salary employees.
Oh, okay.
There are a few.
The reason I ask is would it save any money?
Yes.
And, I mean, part of the salary for this person is gonna come from money saved from people that are doing this now.
Yes. For example, we have a full-time supply officer. She's the paramedic nurse, full-time supply officer, but supplies, she works 2 days off, 4. Supplies come in 7 days a week. So this person could help at least check things in, if not, put them on the shelf and deliver them to stations. But that's something that just doesn't get done when she's not here. So she has to spend extra time doing it. And needless to say, that's a lot more expensive than having somebody in the office, restricted hour schedule rather than overtime. So yes, there will be.
And those supplies stack up pretty good inside that garage door on a given day.
They do. They file quick.
So is there a motion to approve the administrative assistant? Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
Resolution 2020-07, 2020 budget amendment.
Okay, here's one of those things this person could do that I messed up. So you should have a new copy. But only thing was, so last budget amendment was prior to you all approving the PAPRs and the Lucas devices. So that's the increase here on the capital purchase expenses is the 198,000 and the 24,820 to be 753,971.88. And then also we need to add the CARES funds into the revenue so that our budget is not negative, because that's where those funds have come from.
Are there any questions? Yes.
On the CARES budget, at 1.96 million, okay, we've already spent some of that.
Correct.
Correct? Pardon? Most of it? I didn't hear. But whatever we spent of it, we need to reduce that 2020 or 2020. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong column. Please excuse me.
That's okay. It's a little late. There's been a few numbers thrown around tonight.
Is there a motion to approve that resolution?
I'll move that resolution be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your right hand. 2021 budget.
Okay, I am going to share my screen because I think that's going to be the easiest way to go through this. You guys have that in your packet. You guys see that? All right. On the details. Do you guys see that, or do I need to make that bigger?
That's good.
Good, okay. So what you'll see is the 2019 budget. Actually, I'm sorry, it's not the budget. It's the actual revenues and expenses from 2019. The 2020 projection is 2020's got just a little bit left here. This was prepared before tonight, so there's some expenses here in the payroll for this week. Our 2020 budget and then 2021 proposed budget. The increase in sales tax revenues just has to do with the change in the sales tax rate back to the 0.5 cent, as well as the increase in sales that we experienced in 2020. All of the service fees are pretty flat here. Special events, I put that back to last year's amount. GEMT revenue, I have not calculated that yet. We've had switch in payer mix a little bit, it seems like, from what we've seen this year. I don't know if it'll go down or if it'll go up because our expenses are up this year. But I was trying to be conservative in my estimates here, so I decreased that a little bit. This prior year carry forward is the CARES funds that had not been expensed for items that were approved. So we have not paid for the air scrubbers on the ambulances. And the PAPRs. I believe those are the only 2 items left that were approved that we haven't paid for. The Lucas devices are in the bills tonight, so I've taken that back out. The other item is 1 ambulance out of the CARES fund, the remaining amount that you guys approved earlier in the revenue section. Windsor's annual payment, this is based off of their levy, 90% of their levy, because I don't know how much they actually collect. And then we receive 85% of what they collect. So that's where my calculation came from, based on that levy. Any questions on the revenue portion? Okay. Ambulance and vehicle fuel, I increased 20%. When we were doing this, that's when all the hospitals were full and we didn't know how far we were going to have to go. And we don't really know what's going to happen with fuel prices as well. So that's my estimate. My increase, we actually decreased maintenance a little bit because our units are newer now. So hopefully we will decrease that maintenance cost. The EMS equipment maintenance, with a lot of those new purchases, we purchased the maintenance agreements with those items, so we won't be paying those annually. So that's decreased a little bit. The main item here now is our cots, the maintenance on our cots. We still have a couple of life packs that have an annual maintenance and those cots. Medical supplies, I did a 20% increase over the total cost, including our COVID expenses this year, as I don't think our masks are going away or our PPE is going to go away anytime soon. So I've increased that 20%. And then we're also having shortages on things like our gloves. And when you have shortages, the prices go up. So that's my just estimate as far as an increase in costs on medical supplies. Oxygen, we've seen a 30% increase in oxygen usage due to COVID. We've had a 30% increase. I think Eric ran those numbers from reports that the amount of oxygen given has been 30% higher than in previous years. So I increased that cost by 30%. Direct Connect, that is a time-saving thing for me as well. We pay the bank $10 a month to have a direct connection with the bank to our accounting software to pull in all of the deposits. Right now I enter all of them manually, so that will save us a little bit of time as well to just pull directly from the bank. And then I match those and reconcile those back with the billing company. Credit card machine, I've reduced that due to EMSMC does most of our credit card payment processing. For anything that they billed, they'll process. If it was processed through NBC, then we still have to process it through our credit card machine. So that is decreasing.
Jamie,
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to go back if we could to the direct connect fees, Jamie.
Yes, sir.
Those are $10 a month, correct?
Yes, and that's 100. Sorry.
Yeah, so we need to make a correction on that.
Yep. Yep, you are correct. Board training. Last year it was only $100. So I just put it to 500. I know somebody has signed up for board training and taken it, and I think somebody else has signed up for the next board training that's offered. And it just depends on what happens with the election. As you guys know, any new board member has to take the board training to be paid. Election costs, that's always an estimate. Last year we had 2 contested races. No, do we have 2 or just 1? So the previous year we had 2 contested races and it was 65 or 6,200. So that is what I kept it at, was the 6,500. Since we don't know right now what is going to happen with that. Board of Directors expense other, last year that was the iPads. I don't foresee any increase there. Maintenance, we have added $1,000 to fix the screen that you're looking at right now. I know you can probably see it's off kilter a little bit in the middle there, kind of curves. I don't think it'll cost that much, but that was the estimate. And $1,000 for a remote meeting room. Then we also added $1,000 for snow removal for highway TT and the main building, and $500 for Windsor snow removal. Last year, the crews did that, but it was a huge strain on the crews to try to get the snow removed and run all the calls that happen when there's snow. We'll have to bid that out, but I based that on what it cost the last time we got snow removal. It may be higher now, but that's what I had to work from. Capital expenses. This is the radio system upgrade. This is on order, but we haven't paid for it yet. So we're carrying forward that expense. The air scrubbers are being carried forward. This ambulance here that we're going to replace unit 7 with is already on order and should be here next month. And then this is the radios and CAD equipment that goes on that ambulance. And here's the other 2 units you guys approved ordering earlier. Is $235,000, includes the CAD and the radio. For facilities, we need to, yes. Somebody have a question?
If you move up just a little bit, I want to go back over that ambulance, the $216,995, that was out of the 2020 budget.
No.
Am I correct?
No. You guys ordered it in 2020, but it was not budgeted for in 2020 because we wouldn't receive it until 2021.
Does that mean we're getting 3 ambulances in the 2020 budget?
That's correct. Unit 7, 2, and 1, I believe, is that the right unit numbers you guys went over earlier? Facility improvements, the treadmill there downstairs needs replaced. It is not working correctly. And there is, remind me, we don't have a weight rack. And then our weight bench is not in disrepair, I believe. I don't use it, so I'm not sure what that was. Is that what it was, Roy?
Yeah, the treadmill downstairs was bought back in 2014. It's received a lot of use over the years, and it's in it's in disrepair. I don't know that there's even a way to fix it at this point. And then we had a weight rack, but Sedalia PD that belonged to Sedalia Police Department. When they built their new facility, they took their weight rack back. And then the weight bench itself was a donated item that a past employee had donated. And it is beyond repair and needs replacing as well.
And the high dollar item there is the treadmill. The other items amount to about $1,000. Well, I guess $1,230 because the treadmill's $3,000. First arriving dashboards, Roy, you want to explain what that is too? I'm sorry.
Sure. So the first arriving dashboards, essentially what it is it's a information screen that would be at each station. It integrates with the training software that you guys previously talked about just a little bit ago, as well as our scheduling software. It also integrates with our CAD system. So basically to kind of give you an overview in layman's terms, you'll be able to see who's working, where they're working, for the scheduling side of it. For the training aspect of it, you'll be able to see what assignments are due, what are complete and what are incomplete. And then as far as with the dispatch, when a call is dispatched out, it will flash up on the screen at the station. They'll show a map, street view, and then a timer will start ticking so we're making sure we meet our out the door times. And so it basically integrates, and then we have the ability. So if we hire new employees, there's information we want to push out, all that stuff can be put onto that dashboard, and it's on a screen in the station, readily viewable and immediately there. And so it's a fast, easy way to pass information along. Plus it integrates with all the stuff that we are using already.
And that's one per station, correct?
Yes, that's one per station.
The DVR upgrade, that is to upgrade the recording devices in the ambulance. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we've had trouble with our older ones failing, is my understanding. Does somebody with more knowledge want to explain that?
Sure. The current DVR systems, you can only tell if they're working if you actually go to the truck and try to pull video. We need a way to make sure these are working all the time. So we need to upgrade what we're currently using over into a connectable model, so that way an easy check can be made by myself, the chief, the assistant chief, and they can also pull video from wherever they're located from that unit to headquarters pretty quickly. So basically, it's something we need to do in order to ensure we have video at all times.
Thank you. HQ Bay window replacement. So last year we replaced the roof and insulated, and that cost us quite a bit of savings on our utilities. We also bricked up some windows on the north side of the building. This would replace the old windows on the south side of the building to give us some more energy efficiency there in the bay. TT Highway, that kitchen out there does not have an oven. It has a range. And then it also has a commercial refrigerator and freezer. Again, somebody that knows more about what's out there.
It doesn't have a freezer. It's got a great commercial side-by-side monstrosity out there. The freezer is just a chest type freezer.
It's out in the bay.
Yeah, it sits out in the bay. Because the refrigerator was bought thinking it had a freezer on it.
So in this, I understand, is a noise issue, that the noise that the refrigerator makes, that you cannot
Yeah, it's a commercial refrigerator and it operates. I haven't tested it for decibels, but it is extremely loud.
You can't hardly hear the TV set.
Yeah, it's if we were having a meeting in there, we'd have to turn it off during the meeting. It's pretty obnoxious, but it's a very good refrigerator if you have a restaurant or something like that. But for us, it's way more than we need.
Yes.
How do we know we can get $2,000 for the whole stuff?
It's just an estimate.
Yeah.
The generator, this is what is left. We have 5% remaining on the generator. So that is carried forward. And then the tables for the education building you're sitting in. I don't know if you notice the tables, but some of them are bowed and some of them just fall down sometimes. And again, that's just an estimate of what the cost is to replace the tables in that building. Pappers, you guys approved those. That's just a carry forward because we've not received those or the bill. When we transition to the joint communications, we're going to need to update our radio dispatch, the overhead alerting. Roy, do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, with the current radio system we're using, it alerts the radio through a digital tone. Once the new dispatch center is up and running, it's going to change in the way that we're dispatched on calls. So we're going to have to do something different with how the overhead alerting goes, so that it wakes crews up in the middle of the night and lets everybody know that there is a call that they need to respond to. It's probably not going to be $5,000, but I wanted a good round number to make sure that we met the need when the time came.
TT highway furniture, you'll probably remember back this summer in June, we needed to purchase furniture for Windsor and TT highway, but we put TT highways off until 2021. So this is to replace the furniture at TT highway. That's been there since 2016, so going on 5 years of use out there. That is all of the capital purchases. You can see we removed a training mannequin and a security upgrade for the buildings. Any other questions on capital purchases?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, the tables for the education building, you're talking about the tables that we're next to right now?
Yes.
And there's something wrong with these tables? You know, we're going to put $5,000 to replace these. Is there something wrong with these?
There's wheels missing off some of them. Justin, you use these more than we do.
The problem is, if you look at some of them, I don't know which ones I may have put them back there. Some of them don't have wheels left. They've been broken off and they're stripped out. I don't know when we ordered these. I'm sure you did. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
When they were. Another problem is the latches on the sides. As you guys probably seen me do during previous board meetings, and if you lean on them a certain way, they will collapse. And I don't know if that's fixable, but they've gotten a lot of wear in the last several years. That's for sure.
That's the most obvious thing I see on is a lot of our training equipment. We have to spread out over here. We bring monitors over, we bring mannequins, IV pumps, ventilators, whatnot. We put them on these tables, and when they collapse, it could be catastrophic. They're just not really good tables. I don't know if 5,000 is necessarily as much as we need, but there are several of them that the ends are coming out off our own. They're not very good shape. The wheels are pretty sketchy.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Chief, Would you come to us when you decide which tables you want and everything else? Would you come to us and ask us to approve them, even though we've approved that?
Absolutely.
Okay, the same way you've done with other things?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Like with the furniture and things like that, you know, you came to us for the furniture, but you had it in the budget to do it.
Yeah. Shocking sticker price, I think I've seen on most anything as part of it, it's just ridiculously. Yeah.
Are we able to buy things from the surplus down in Jeff City?
I get it. Yeah, state surplus gets some things. Most of what they end up with up there, well, toolbox type stuff. Somebody bought an oxygen rack for some reason.
Yeah,
we don't
never
use
know what
it,
they're gonna have.
Yeah, it's really oddball stuff, and sometimes you'll find really good things up there. But
Yeah,
finding a lot of stuff is
Sometimes in general, will read.
one-off things.
Yeah, they've had laptops and boxes that have never been opened, and those type of things.
You never know.
I mean, I bought quite a bit of stuff at school that helped me.
Yeah.
Some shelves for my library that we had.
Yeah.
Desks, student desks,
Mhm.
$10 or less. I didn't know if we had access to that. I thought we might.
We should. Yeah. The chairs were tremendous up in here. Those are
Yeah.
way nice.
A lot of chairs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm on their mailing list. I get all the new arrival stuff.
Any more discussion? of the capital purchases? Over here to the details. This is the same numbers that were over there. Collection fees, just an estimate. We have a new collection company. I'm hoping to get better collections, but we haven't seen anything yet, so we will. keep hoping. Cell phone and mobile data, that is based on our current monthly bill, about $1,500 a month. Dispatcher fees, that is based on the contract we have with Joint Communications. So that may be less. It takes longer to get moved over, but that is what we have as contract. EMS radios and equipment. This is just, little things that need replaced, batteries and chargers and cases and things like that. $1,000 for radio repairs. And then our telephone and internet, again, based on what we currently have, it's about $3,500 a month for telephone and internet. And then we also have additional internet for the crews. That's $200 a month and $110 a month. Dues and subscriptions, I put them all under just dues and subscriptions this year, but we have cut out the Adam dues. The rest of the dues are what we pay annually, the GIS, MARC, AICPA, FFAM, which is help me out, Roy, Firefighters
Association of Missouri.
Okay, that's what I was going to guess, but I didn't want to get a wrong letter there. SHRM, that we use that for HR resources. AAA, American Ambulance Association, that has been where we've gotten all of our information this year about all of the CARES Act information, the reporting, the CMS cost reporting, all of those items. It's well worth the dollars there. This is for the Sedalia Democrat and then our Missouri Ambulance Association. Health insurance and benefits. We're basically will be flat on dental, life, and vision. And then I had a 20% increase in health insurance to kind of account for changes in our enrollment. We don't know what those changes may or may not be, but just to account for those changes, it was a 17% increase is what I had on the health insurance information earlier. So I just added a couple of percent, make sure we cover for any sort of change in that makeup. And then retirement contributions, it's just an increase based on pay increase. This is set at the 3.25%, as we discussed earlier, plus the $30,000 I budgeted for the admin assistant. All of these items here are pretty flat: background checks, functional capacity testing, random drug testing. We did add employee recognition. That is something that hasn't been done in the past. This will be coins that will be presented to staff. You want to talk about that, Roy? Eric, anyone?
Sure, yeah, it's something one of our guys has been trying to put together for a few years, and it keeps kind of getting kicked down the road because it's there's a cost associated with it. We were gonna put it in uniform budget, but it kind of needs to be a standalone thing. Essentially, we're talking years of service, any meritorious awards like a life-saving award, you deliver a baby in the ambulance, that's a big deal, as you can imagine. There's several categories. They've got a whole list of things. There's challenge coins that can be given out that have our district logo on it. And we've looked at some name tag plates, serving X amount of years. It's essentially to recognize employees' contributions to the districts and their achievements of the districts. The city does something like this. They do it in every city, just about every city council meeting. They get a firefighter might get a lifesaver reward for going above and beyond the duty, in the line of duty to treat or take care of a critically ill patient, or sometimes it's not even a critically ill patient. Sometimes it's literally getting that cat out of the tree, or whatever the case is. It's recognizing your employees when they go above and beyond, essentially, or they achieve significant milestones in their employment here, such as 5, 10 years of service, perfect attendance. Like I said, we have several categories that we're looking at. Maybe just recognizing.
About that.
What's that?
He knows about perfect attendance.
Yeah, we've got a couple.
So actually, that is the coins, and then we did add money in uniforms for those bars you were just talking about for the years of service.
Okay.
So that is that additional 2,000 in uniforms, as they're part of your uniform. Computer purchases. Looks like 3 desktop computers and 2 iPads, which are budgeted for annually to replace the iPads on the ambulances. And then UPS backup replacements to replace the current systems that are aging is what makes up that 6450. Repair and equipment. This is just based on what it was this year. Actually, it's a little over budget this year, going back to 500 for 2021. Software as a service. This includes the 30,000 that we've paid currently. We're going to need to upgrade QuickBooks, and when we add this administrative, we're going to need to add a license, and then an increased cost for the new scheduling software. Board admin bonds and all of the insurance that was covered last meeting. We have not, Christian just sent me an email during this meeting. He's still trying to get with the underwriter to get the amounts, the different deductibles and what those amounts might be, but this is what was approved at the last meeting. Work comp is just an estimate that renews, I believe, in March or April. But we are reporting on actual costs this year instead of paying an estimated wage and then getting a refund like we have in years past. So I just based it on what it was for 2020, or the projected for 2020. Office supplies, I left that at 2,500. We have generally run under budget on that. Postage has increased a little bit with switch over to the new billing company, having more items, certified mail. We've kind of fixed most of those issues, so we don't have to do that as often. But there's still some other hospitals outside of Bothwell that we have to send certified mail to. Office expense other, this is actually the shredding at all of the bases for all of our HIPAA documents. They come in and shred those every 2 weeks. And then in the outlying stations, it's I believe every 8 weeks is our schedule. Employee meetings, this is actually mostly EMS week, Thanksgiving, Christmas, what that covers. Advertising and promotion, that is all of our legal notices. Janitorial is the cleaning of the headquarters office, and they do clean the training room or the training building once a month. Supplies, I increased that 20% just due to the increased cleaning supplies we've had to purchase and the increase in cost on those items. Professional fees, accounting, CPA, that includes the increased cost for the single audit that we'll have this year, and then we'll need to bid that out going forward for future years. Attorney fees, again, just based on where we are this year, and hopefully we'll get done with the union negotiations early in the year, and it won't amount to this dollar amount. Our attorney retainer went up to $950 last year. I haven't heard of an increase, but I increased it just $50 just to cover that. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Our medical director fee has been $24,000 for the medical direction, and then $6,000 for EMD. So I guess we'll probably be reducing this by $6,000. I just made aware of that tonight. Patient billing expense, just a function of patient revenue times what we pay our new billing company, which is 4.5%. Public relations, $1,000. In the past, we've spent about $500, but we usually budget to be able to do something with public relations. Of course, this year was a little different. You couldn't really have too much public relations this year. I put an estimate in here in case we need to move some crews out to the Missouri State Fair Fire Department. The rent's $2,300 a month, estimated 6 months, estimated insurance coverage, and phone and internet in that. Water softeners, again, just based on what it's been, and the ice machine, what it has been for those 2 items. TIF expense has increased this year. They've added some businesses out there, so our sales tax revenue has increased as well as our TIF expense. Training, this covers the software we talked about earlier, conferences, outside courses, management, supervisor training. This covers all of the training to renew all of our certifications, certified ambulance coder, certified ambulance privacy officer, and certified compliance officer, as well as some FTEP training that we had our FTOs attend last year. Continue to improve that and include more people in that as management training. And then the training material, those are all the licenses that Justin has to purchase, and the curriculums and the DVDs and whatnot from the different American Heart Association and whoever, those alphabet soups for the certifications, all of those.
Mr. Buckley has a question.
Well, I was just looking at the EMT class. We have no plans of having an EMT class next year?
No, not next year. I mean, I'm the only one that teaches, and it just stretches me thin. I'm good about one every other year. Going forward, if it's something we can discuss, but it's going to have to be discussed because, like I said, I'm pretty much the only one that teaches it. So from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I'm tied up, and it doesn't just end there, there's a lot of other stuff that goes along with that, so when I'm doing that, I kind of, at times neglect the people that really need me over there for training and stuff like that, or I'm working 18 hours a day, certain days, so, no, there is no plan for an EMT class in 2021.
Okay. Are you the only instructor that's on board?
No, I'm not, but, an EMT class for what it costs, I'm free, I'm on salary, so that's where we make money. And I'm okay, I'm not, it's not about the money to me. I enjoy teaching EMT classes, but it's too much work for one person. So, and to pay somebody to come over here, we have several instructors that are qualified to do that. But it's gonna run into overtime, things like that, maybe into any profit that would come up back from that.
The primary instructor has to teach, I think, 80%.
80% I have to be there, yes, I have to teach 80% of that course.
Even if we could pay somebody, their schedule's not really conducive to doing classes every Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah, we do it, we know the last two classes, we've got a community interest, and we've had an overwhelming response and request for that. And not to say that's not there this time, it's just, there's no way that I could do that, not next year, so.
Okay, we're almost done getting through this. Utilities, again, just based off of what it's been in the past. On there. Interest income has been, of course, less this year, and I'm basing it on that for 2021. And then we've increased our usage a little bit of our credit cards, trying to pay as much as we can through those credit cards since we get the rebate just of our normal monthly bills. So that's increased. So I projected $1,500. So that would leave a surplus of $63,339.90. Any other questions? I know there's been a lot of numbers tonight and it's very late, so.
Yes. So I'm sorry. Mrs. Woodring, a couple things just to kind of go down here. First of all, I'm going off of what was in the board packet, not necessarily what you have there, because my numbers in some cases were not the same.
Yeah, the only number I changed was that $120 on the direct connect tonight.
Okay. On page 20, the Windsor annual payment, we don't have any guidance at all from them or the collectors in those counties that it will be a 90% collection rate. I just remember a conversation with those folks down there on the Windsor Ambulance District Board said that, they have a very high.
Yeah, it's just a guesstimate. And I did look at what they received this year. Well, I don't know what they received this year. I know what they have left this year. How about that? And that was about 275,000. So, 275,000 is what they have left. I don't know how much they spent of that. That'd be 233,000. So if they only receive 275. Again, this is based off the levy information of 326,073 times 90% times the 85.
Okay, still on page 20, rent expense. If I understand your column correctly, you're estimating what it would be at 12/31 of 20. That's your projection column. And so we're projecting we're going to spend 7,300, but then for our 21 budget, we're going to spend 23,000.
That is if we need to rent the Missouri State Fair to move some crews up there. So there's 16,000 estimated for that.
Okay, thank you. I know that was on a different spot, but.
Yeah, it's, if you look at page, I can tell you where it is here.
Yeah, I saw that. That's good. That's good. The education building, I guess where we're at, repairs and maintenance from $600 to $3,000. What is that for?
We went over that a little bit ago. Let me find it back here.
I'm sorry, it's on page 22.
Right, I'm just finding it in my spreadsheet that has the notes. Just give me a second here. Okay, education building, that is $1,000 for maintenance, which is just whatever repairs have to happen. $1,000 for repairing the screen on the front of that room there. And $1,000 for a remote meeting room. So a room, which will be that room right behind you that we used to meet in for closed sessions. Or, if we need to have a remote meeting with a vendor or somebody, we can go right into that room, a group of people, and it'll be set up where we can just join the meeting. That's my understanding. Ryan, do you have any additional input on that?
Doesn't sound like he does. Continuing on page 22, telephone and internet, we went from 40,000 to 45.
Well, we pay $3,500 a month approximately to Socket for internet and phone. And then we also pay $200 to Spectrum for the education building additional internet, because the internet is at headquarters, not at the education building. And then another $110 to have a separate internet for the crews to be able to do what they need to do that is secure away from all of our secure items. So again, Ryan would have to explain that, but it's so they can do Netflix or whatever they do in their off time while at work on the internet. So yeah, that's the estimate of what it'll be.
Okay. And the bottom dues and subscriptions on page, I'm still on page 22, by the way. I think I heard you speak positively about these organizations, but you don't have any funds made available on any of these.
Yes, I just combined them all into just dues and subscriptions.
Okay, so there's the $6,000 to cover all of them, as opposed to the $8,100 we spent this year. Is that right?
Correct. We took out the American, or not the American, I'm sorry, Adam.
I see, okay.
And it was $10,179 is what we've spent this year.
Page 23, health insurance premium. From the 514 to the 633, that's an increase of 23%, 118.
20%.
And I thought I'm sorry?
It's just 20% over last. It's 20% increase over last year's budget.
Is that cool?
And that's, sorry, go ahead.
The number of $88,000 sticks in my mind as opposed to the 118 increase.
Correct. This is to account for any changes in our enrollment, as well as we are adding an additional full-time person, and we don't know what their enrollment will be.
Okay, all right. Page 24, management / supervisor training, from $1,300 to $14,000.
No. Yeah, there might be some stuff that needs to be coded differently, but it wasn't $1,300 this year. There's probably, most of that's probably in conferences outside courses. Now, we did save money this year because we couldn't travel. So we couldn't go to those conferences. We did them all virtually. So they were less this year than what I have budgeted for next year. No idea if we'll be able to travel, probably not. But I think it's more conservative to budget as if it will be in person than to budget it's virtual and then it turns out to be in person.
Mr. Chairman, that generally answers my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on the budget?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a comment. I just want to say thank you to Jamie.
You are welcome.
Resolution 2020-08, 2021 budget adoption. And that's what we have here, right? Yes. I would take a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I guess you're going to have to find that resolution. I've got the budget here. I don't have a resolution.
On page 9.
19, thank you. There we go. Okay, so, there's some things in this budget that I'd like to see changed before we adopt that. So, there's a motion and a second on the floor, so I guess you can either vote or I can tell you what I suggest that ought to be changed. I mean, how do we want to do that?
We've got a motion second on the floor. We'll have to address. Is there any further discussion?
But there are some items that I think need to be changed.
I'd like to listen to that.
I guess you can state your.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought we were moving on. Okay, well, first of all, I think we might be putting the cart before the horse when we talk about, paying rent at the Missouri State Fair. There was some research being done on that, and then, so that's kind of, if we do decide to do that, I think, that supports a decision to do it, but I don't know that that's a good idea to have it in the budget. I'm concerned about the telephone and the internet and Netflix and those kind of things on page 22 on telephone and internet.
And we don't pay for Netflix, just that's their personal subscriptions to Netflix that they watch on their personal devices.
I'm still seeing a $5,000 increase in that line item. So
yes, there is some sort of increase in speed. Ryan, can you explain what that is?
let me ask it this way here. Is this just the basic cost for phone and internet?
Correct.
Just a basic cost on it. Okay, well then I appreciate Ryan would be willing to do that, but I don't need that explanation as long as it's the basic cost. some of the things that I had, highlighted here, there's come forth some good explanation of why we need certain increases in those areas. I saw the uniform budget go up significantly, but I understand what was put in there was part of this employee piece for patches or whatever to go on the uniform. So that makes sense. Employee meetings, chief, $2,000 versus $900 last year, or this year, I should say.
Honestly, most of that's been working through lunch and or whatever part of the day, hopefully not dinner too often, with union negotiations. We don't break for those typically.
Most of that is EMS week.
Yeah.
In order to keep and then
The increase still.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, which that $900 and some doesn't include Christmas because we haven't paid for Christmas yet this year. I mean, I've estimated it based on what it was last year, but.
Okay, Jamie, allow me to go back to page 20 again, under the employee. A significant increase there.
Yeah, that's the raises.
Is that just salary?
No, that is the 3.25%.
Plus?
So what is all included in employee is payroll expenses, background checks, functional capacity testing, pre-employment drug testing, random drug testing, employee recognition, and uniforms. That's what's included in that 4.4 million. As well as employee, sorry, my tongue's getting twisted up. Payroll taxes on the wages and the retirement.
Okay.
It's all under employee.
Any other questions? Is there any other discussion? Motion and second on the floor to approve that resolution. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your right hand. Motion fails for lack of approval.
I'd like to, I guess, make a motion that we take out that 16,000 on Missouri State Fair on page 20. And with that out, then to approve it.
Okay.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. We'll move on to.
Did we record that vote?
Yeah.
I didn't vote in the affirmative.
All opposed, raise your right hand. The advanced board member training meeting policy.
Mr. Chairman, in lieu of the time being almost 10:30 at night, I asked them to table this and I put it on the agenda for the 12th of January next year. I'll send some stuff to you.
Digital packets for board meeting.
I asked that to be on there, the cost and the time that they put in to get those things out to us, so we can get it on Saturday. If we went to digital, they could include things, if I understand it right, on, even on Monday, so that we would have it. But I know that sometimes paper is nice to have instead of having it digitally. So I was just wanting us to think about the possibility of going digital, and maybe even having the board members elect the way they wanted it. You know, so if somebody wanted it paper, they could get it that way. But I'm just looking at the time, and they've already got it on the computer, and then they have to print it, and then they have to put it in packages. And, yeah.
Can I ask, what day those, do you guys all get those?
Saturday.
Saturday, do you typically show up?
If I could add to that, what I liked about your idea was that it's an option. You know, because personally, you know, you see all the scribbles on my notes.
Yeah, I see all the secretary.
So I like parts and stuff,
Right.
whatever. But, you know, I'm probably just old fashioned, and a lot of that stuff, if you're used to doing it and looking at it digitally, you know, that's fine. And that just, you know, the only thing that would not help on, and that's the last minute submissions into that deal. So whereas it would all have to be the same board packet, you know, still have to be done by, you know, Friday morning, you know, in order to get it out. But I'm all in favor of having it as an option to the board members, that way they can elect to get it mail.
Maybe we can think on it.
Address that at the next meeting as well.
Okay. There'd be one less packet that you have to put together if you want to do
Yeah. Well, they have been sending me on occasion. I get the board meeting, the board packet. Yeah, I didn't know that we had to have a vote on that. Is it because of the bylaw? Pardon?
It's not a bylaw item, but we all need to be in agreement.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know, one thing I'll add is that not everybody in this room is up to speed on the computer. So you have some people that they don't have that aptitude.
Yeah, some people don't have an email address. So that makes it a little more difficult.
Are there any announcements?
I'm past my bedtime.
If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
I'll second that one.
All in favor, raise your right hand.
Yeah, overtime.
Nick, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, did the budget pass with that change? I couldn't tell.
It did, yes.
Okay. I just needed to do a change on the budget and fix that.
42.
Okay, thank you. For all your time. I know there was a lot of numbers and information tonight. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well.
Yeah, you know, that's high over there. Yeah, you
I was
know,
about to run out of here, guys, so I apologize. Gross and sweaty over there.
I know, my doctor